If you're on a budget, like I'm always on a budget, and you're thinking of buying an electric vehicle, a used electric vehicle, at the end of 2024 or maybe early mid 2025, there's really three vehicles that stand out as really affordable and useful, but they're not all created equally. So we'll talk about these. I'm just going to count these down. These are my top three used EV picks, at least in the United States, 2024 to 2025, if you don't have a lot of money to spend. We'll get right into it. So number three, and this is the third best. We're going to count worst to first, okay? It's the Nissan Leaf. I can speak with great confidence about this vehicle because I own one. I bought a used Nissan Leaf, I think 4 years ago now. Ours is a 2016. And it's a great car. It's got the 30 kilowatt battery. It was supposed to get like 100 miles, 107 miles on a charge. And we can get that in really good situations, but it's very subject, to cold, wind, so forth. The Nissan Leaf, what it says on the dashboard you have to go before you're stalled out is not true. When you get on the highway, you have to be on the highway for like 10 minutes before the gasometer, which we call it, that tells you how many miles you have left on your battery, is anywhere near accurate. So just know that with the Nissan Leaf. We probably made a video about that in our catalog someplace. But it's a great car in several ways. It's very comfortable. It's roomy enough for front and back passengers. Plus has a nice little cargo bit in the back, in the hatchback. We've cleaned windows out of our Nissan Leaf for a while. It's a very good all-purpose EV. But why it's number third is two reasons. One, the range, of course. 100 miles, maybe 75 on the highway in some conditions. You can't really travel with this car. We have, by the way, we have taken it long distances, but it's a little bit of a headache for not only because the range isn't high enough. You have to stop at the very best, you have to stop every 80 miles if you're driving on the highway, the best weather conditions. But it could be a lot worse than that. But then you got to find a charger, which in Michigan's good. We've got chargers everywhere. We're doing great here in Michigan. So whoever's doing that, great work. But the Nissan Leaf just refused to change out from the old Chatamo DC fast charger, which is popular in the VW e-Golf, popular in the Kia EV Soul, and the Nissan Leaf. But all the chargers here, where I live anyway, and probably where you live, they are not putting in new Chatamo chargers. Now they're all the CCS, and of course the Tesla NACS, NACS NACS, North America Connection Standard. Those are your choices. So the Nissan Leaf is really not a car you would want to buy, even at a discount, unless you're going to use it like we use it. We use it for around the town, grocery shopping, commuter back and forth to work. I can get 100 miles a day on the Leaf if I need to, if the weather conditions are right. It's a great around town car. If let's say you're going to drive 50 miles a day, I'd buy the Nissan Leaf every day. It's a great car. But it's such a limited use case compared to the other two on my list. What are you going to do? Okay, so that's number three, the Nissan Leaf. And as far as what year, any year. I think the top mileage ever put in this was 220 miles. But even with that, you still have the Chatamo charge port for DC fast charging, which you're not going to find a lot of chargers that are going to support that. So they kind of made their own vehicle limited massively. Let's go to number two. Number two and number three are very close. I'll give you a hint. I'm riding in number one. I'm driving number one as we speak. Number two, in my opinion, and I have a less intimate relationship with this vehicle, is the Chevy Bolt or Chevy Bolt EUV. Now, these cars have a legitimate 250-mile range on a full charge. That's good. And they use the CCS charge port, and you can use Tesla chargers with an adapter. So as far as driving a long distance, you've got a much better situation than you would in the Nissan Leaf. But it charges slow, as does the Leaf and the car I'm driving, the number one. It charges pretty slow. You're going to spend some time, half hour or so, at a DC fast charger while you're driving. That's just the way it's going to be. But there's a big difference between the Bolt EV and the Bolt EUV, and it's the 6 or so inches of more leg room you get in the back seat. Now, I tested this out myself, went to the Detroit Auto Show with press credentials, the North, what do they really call it? The North American International Auto Show, I think. And I sat in both of them. I took pictures and videos, and it's a market it's a noticeable difference. The Bolt EV is perfect for what we use it for here in Michigan, Domino's pizza delivery vehicles. I think one of our Chevy dealers using them as their parts cars. But you could drive this thing across the country. You're just going to spend a little time at chargers, but you can do it. It's a great little car. The EUV, on the other hand, is much better than that. So if you look and use, try to find a EUV. It's just a little bit bigger, just as cute. It has a couple miles less range, but it's like, I think, less than 10 miles difference range in the two. It's just, they're great little cars. I mean, and you can buy them really inexpensively. You might be looking between 10 and 15 or 10 and $20,000, much like the Nissan Leaf for the Chevy Bolt. So between those two, there's really no choice. You would always buy the Chevy Bolt. It does everything that, or the EUV anyway, does everything the Leaf does plus more. Now the the Bolt EV is much smaller in the back seat than the Nissan Leaf, so you'd have a decision to make there. So those are number 3 and number 2. Number 1 is the car I'm driving right now. This is the BMW i3, and this one's the Rex, and that's the one we're going to talk about, the range extender variety. This car really does have it all. It's superior comfort, extremely good acceleration, well over 100 miles on battery only, plus with the range extender, it means you can literally drive across the country. You can put a gallon 0.9 in the tank here in North America and get another 100 miles. So you'll have to stop a lot if you want to drive across the country, but you can do it. And what the range extender does that's so cool, and I'm not going to over explain it, but it's not a hybrid that runs the wheels. It doesn't touch the drivetrain. The range extender, while you're driving, let's say you're going 70 miles an hour on the highway, AC blowing, radio going, you're happy as you can be. The range extender kicks in because you're down to 6% battery life and you don't even know it kicked in. On the highway, you won't even hear it. You won't notice any difference in your you're going forward. You won't notice any difference in anything. Now, if you try to go up a hill at 80 mile an hour or something like that, then the range extender will not keep the battery charged enough to keep you going. You'll go into limp mode. So you'll be limited to like 45 miles an hour. Don't do that. But you could drive it in normal cars. I'm not like a speed racer guy, girl, you're not going crazy. So the BMW i3, it is small in the back seat, smallish, but some people find it fine. I find it okay. They have the suicide doors that can be a little challenging to get in and out. We've talked about that in other videos. It's quirky, but it's very comfortable, very good visibility, very fun to drive. Plastic body, carbon chassis, and aluminum frame, which means you'll never rust out a BMW i3. It's just, I don't know. I've driven it tens of thousands of miles, so I'm not just talking from the internet here. This is the real deal. This is the best used car on a budget, in my opinion, the end of 2024 and into 2025. Somewhere between 15 and 20-some thousand, you'll get one of these. You'll be very happy. Take the time and pay the money to get the range extender version, because if not, you're kind of in a Nissan Leaf situation where you're getting 100 miles, 120 miles, maybe 150. But with the range extender, you're unlimited. And of course, it has the CCS charging port, which means you can find chargers, at least in Michigan, everywhere you go. That's my take for what it's worth. I hope it helps you a little bit. I, of course, would love to hear your questions and comments in the comments section. If you haven't subscribed yet, it takes like 10 seconds. You can do it right now. Good job. And watch another video. Here's another BMW i3 video where we test out the size of the interior for you to make your informed decision. Chad Drive the Lightning, positively charged EV channel, who has the best channel members. Thank you so much to the members of the channel. You keep the wheels churning on the Positively Charged EV channel, and the Mug Club members. You mugs want mugs so Sarah and I can get back to California for some coverage very soon as Aptera begins to roll the production intent vehicles down the road. Thank you. Here's another video you might want to watch right here.